Okay, so I'll be recording this piece of the meeting. We want to make sure we can hear everyone and retain it. So we'll be recording the breakout rooms. So welcome, everyone. I have, well, I think, let's see, how many do we have here? 21.
21.
It's a big group. It's a little bit hard for us to all introduce ourselves to each other. Maybe what we could do is just begin the discussion, and as you make a comment or ask a question for the first time, maybe just introduce yourself and let us know, are you a resident? Do you work in the area? What's your interest in Park Marina? I do have visual materials, visual aids to bring up if there's any specific questions. It will be kind of an aid to discussion, but why don't we just start with ourselves looking at each other, because that's kind of nice. Does anybody have any beginning thoughts, general comments about the Park Marina corridor plan and these alternatives that we've seen tonight? I'll just open it up. Who would like to begin? Looks like Keith has his hand up. Keith, you could go ahead and unmute. Looks like you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, Keith Williams. I'm with the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency, and we're working with City of Reading on this project and maybe helping to get funding for it. But I'm new to the project, so I just wanted to say, after reviewing this, I'm just really glad that the City of Reading is working on this and partnering with local partners and doing this public outreach. I think that's fantastic. Just one question that I asked in the chat was with respect to the traffic control at Athens. That was not clear to me. I saw some mention of protected intersection, which sounded interesting. I just wasn't sure how the, I guess you guys are calling it north-south traffic along Park Marina, how the vehicles would be stopped so that bikes and peds could cross Park Marina.
So Keith, there are different, sorry.
Ruta, this would be great if you answered it, but do you want me to get any kind of diagram up?
No, I think I can just explain him. So Keith, you do have a good point, and we did discuss this internally. For right now, we are showing it as an existing traffic control with stop on the minor street. But eventually we were thinking that we would either put a half signal or an RRFB or something that would help, bicyclists and pedestrians to cross. So if you just go closer to the intersection, press the button and just cross, that I think that would be the most ideal situation in this case.
And Ruta, just describe that a little bit. That would be an overhead light that would be activated by a button, by a bike rider.
A push button, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it could be push button, it could be just sensors. There are so many different ways you could kind of initiate that call. So we will definitely be looking at that in more detail when we get into detailed design.
Good comment, thank you. Would anybody else like to raise their hand or just pipe up? Let's see, we have Mike. Hi, Mike.
Yes. Hi there. Yeah, I think I'm unmuted. I don't know if I'm visible or not.
You're not visible, but we hear you.
Okay, that's a start. So same area, general area there. As they come off of Park Marina onto South Street there, my inclination is to think that they will hit that proposed stoplight and have two choices to make. Continue straight, in which they can make a left onto Athens, which seems like a lot of people who are driving to work would fall into that category of using that rather than turning back onto Park Marina. So I just wanted to present that idea as somebody who lives in the area that, it might change the traffic there along South Street a little bit that I haven't seen included in any of this planning discussion at this point.
Mike, I am going to share my screen momentarily so we
Excellent.
can look at that intersection you're talking about. But I did see in the chat there was a question about how to raise your hand. So if you are looking at a computer screen, you can go to the bottom where it says reactions. And if you click on that reactions button, then that'll give you the option to raise your hand. So feel free to do that. I'm not quite sure how to do that on the phone, but there must be some equivalent reactions button, or perhaps a series of 3 buttons that will allow you to raise your hands. And look, we have some new hands raised. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go again to this. Maybe I won't make it full screen. I'll just enlarge it a little and try to get to.
Maybe, Bruce, if you just want to open Google Maps, that should be fine too.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Okay, so you were talking, Mike, about the intersection at Olympus and.
Yeah, you're just at the bottom of your screen there.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's their South Street there.
Yep.
So the proposal, as I understand it, or one of the option B, is to turn onto South Street there.
Yeah.
And then an intersection at Washington and South Street.
Yes.
Okay, so by the time you turn off to that section, what I'm looking at is that one of your studies talked about the number of people that are using this route to get to business or work. And by the time they make that right turn there, they're going to likely continue straight rather than turning onto what is now Washington Avenue, with the idea of intersecting with Athens Avenue up above, which essentially gives you almost a direct route to the city, Cypress Avenue, things of that nature. So that's a very narrow street. That whole street was narrowed a couple years back. There's not even a center lane in it at this point. So just something to consider traffic wise.
I think you're raising a good point. I do feel, since Athens is somewhat narrow, and there will be a good and direct route turning left onto Washington and just heading over to Park Marina, and I think not even a stop control here, just a continuation. It may be more efficient to use that, but I do feel like you know, in times when things are backing up and so forth, you might be making a good point. Ruta, we will record that comment, right? And take that into consideration.
Right, and also actually city is proactively looking into, you know, some of these routes that would become more attractive with this project going in. So this is a good point, and we will make sure that you know, we pass on this comment.
I appreciate that. I've got one other thought to share regarding the northern corridor section and the proposed overcrossing bike facility. As it's written in the plan, it looks like you go all the way up to essentially almost the Sundial Bridge. I think there's a gas station at that intersection right now. And you would essentially take a right back behind that. Yeah, following the arrow there, and then cross over right there to the other side. Looking at the map, if you go directly south from where that proposed overcrossing is, you're at that Athens intersection. So where the roundabout was taken out, and instead the bikes will be crossing over to the left side of Park Marina there, or the south side, left side on the map here. I'm wondering if it might be possible to go to the right, stick along the waterway there, and intersect with that overcrossing idea. Yes, exactly where
Along
you're
here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also a good point, and we will record that, Mike. I will say that this area is also under review for development.
I'm sure.
Yep.
And so having an aerial structure along the water here as it's rising up to clear the bridge may be an impediment to use of the waterfront from any, and hopefully it would be a river-oriented development, you know. So that is something to consider.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying, though, because you're making a very good point that you're already on that side of Park Marina when you're south of here.
Right.
So so it does make good sense in that way, instead of having to cross and then cross back.
As a cyclist and pedestrian in the area, I like the look of that, but very open. Just the idea of the overcrossing in general would be nice. regardless of the approach. But again, we're in that thinking planning stage, and
Yes, and you're thinking and planning and helping us do it. Thank you. You know, one thing I'll mention about that overcrossing is that those are extremely expensive. So this is a good thing to put into the plan if the community supports it. But it will take a concerted effort to raise enough funds to do something like that. There, we're talking about in the above $10 million range for a project like that. It's not to say that it shouldn't happen. It probably should, but it may take longer to do a project like that.
And we did look into that alternative too, because that would have been the best way to connect both sides of 44. We did get into a little bit of design issues, which we're not there yet to look into very detailed design, but we were having some issues with grading that so that it goes over 44. But not to say that it's not on the table, it is. And when we get into the details of the design, we do have that in mind, that could be one of the alternatives. We have thought about it.
Yeah, you had mentioned
perfect sense.
You had mentioned a raised structure there interfering with the waterway, and I'm kind of wondering if it couldn't be at the water edge level there, and go up to the edge of 44, take a left, and essentially start its incline parallel to 44.
Yes, we were not able to give that good of an incline for it to touch the ground again. So
understood.
Then we thought that it would be better that we look into it when we are actually diving into more detailed design part of it.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay on board and listen to your other comments here. And we have Janessa, I think, to give a comment next. So what would you like to say? Hello.
Hi, it's actually Trey, Cheryl, her husband. We live on Washington Avenue north of Kuchers Park, and kind of wanted to tear off of what Mike said. To begin with, agree with everything he said. He brought up some of our concerns. One of my concerns is that if with the option rerouting traffic off of Park Marina onto Washington Avenue. So yeah, if Mike brought up the issue of coming southbound on Park Marina, turning onto Washington or turning on South Street, and then most people would continue west towards the businesses off of Athens. My concern is folks traveling north on Park Marina, turning onto Washington Avenue. And from there, I'm not, I don't have a great idea of what you're going to install at the intersection of South and Washington, but I could very easily see people continuing to travel north on Washington as opposed to turning east towards Park Marina, and that would bring a lot of traffic down our residential.
So continuing this way.
Absolutely.
Is what you were thinking. Okay.
Yeah, and that was the reason why there was a slide in the presentation that showed that we are already looking into some of the traffic calming measures that could prevent the drivers to do that. So again, city is proactively looking into those other impacts on residential streets while we do this project. So we really want to balance it out.
Yeah, and I think you should definitely track this project as it moves forward, because there are very attractive ways to really disincentivize people from going on residential streets. You can narrow it, you could put speed tables and other types of traffic calming that will really discourage people from continuing. And it's a good thing for you to keep track of as this moves forward. So I would just encourage you to continue to attend these meetings.
Yeah, and just to answer another question that you had, what would be the traffic control at Park Marina Drive and South? That would be a free left and a free right. If we go for that option 2, then we would just curve that road that way. There's no traffic control there.
So Route is saying free right, which means there'd be no stop. You just sweep around the corner, and then a free left would be the same in this direction.
Yep.
So pretty continuous, you know.
Pretty continuous. Yeah, it's just that it's kind of an S curve at that
Yeah.
point.
An S curve. But I mean, again, it is quite in the interest of doing a nice development on this side of the river. Currently, it's not very nice because they're so constrained by space here. But if this could be, and this land is owned by the same owner as the other side, then there could be a much nicer type of development that could be developed there. So with that, why don't we go to Bob? Welcome, Bob. How are you?
Thank you. At first, I want to say that I'm one of those people that probably travel on Park Marina 20 to 40 times a week. It's the main link between Highway 44 and Cypress Avenue. So, and what I've heard so far is the main thing that nobody's really brought up is you're cutting the flow of traffic 50%. You're going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. To do that without an idea of what future development is going to be, what future developers would be willing to participate in that development of that corridor, I think is just short-sighted. So I'm not sure why we're doing this at this time. I think the Koutros have owned this for a long time, and there has basically been no development. Now, if they're interested in developing, they're probably listening to this call. That would be welcome, but who knows what they're going to develop? If the city approves a big arena with a concert hall, and it's going to generate a lot of traffic, and all we have is 2 lanes. So I guess, and this is a little sarcastic, but the way the city is going, I guess everybody should buy a bicycle to get anywhere. And that's an issue. So that's my concern at this point. There's a lot of money that has been spent on this already, and with no idea of what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Yeah, that's kind of the nature of planning. I mean, it's always subject to change. I just feel like it's an exciting time to consider improvements, both from the private development side and as well as the street side. But for that very reason that you say the development is uncertain, the city is really focusing on the street itself in this case to really make safety and other improvements to the street. Ruta, you could add to that. And we also have Zach. I think Zach is in this room as well, Zach Bonin, who can talk about what the process would be for future development and approvals on that.
Yeah, can I comment again?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I say, we drive that corridor a tremendous amount. And it looks like this is focused on the bicycles. And there's 2 groups of bicycles that run on that. There are almost zero families that do it. There are bicycle groups, clubs that will take that route that we've seen, but almost you don't see a mom and a dad and a child on a bicycle on that route, period. I mean, it just doesn't happen. They have the river trail, we have other trails. It's to focus on bicycles before we know what's going to be developed there is just, again, premature. And I think I guess it provides employment, but I think it's money that could be deferred till when we know more.
Yeah, you've made a good point. Ruta, do you want to say anything to that, or Zach?
Yeah, just wanted to add a couple of, comments we have heard from other residents, like, the one, there is a bicycle group who came on Monday during our in-person workshop. And the reason, Bob, they are not using Park Marina at this point is because they don't feel safe and comfortable riding Park Marina. And that's the reason, moms and dads and other parents, they kind of give an alternative route to their kids to go around it rather than riding their bikes on Park Marina. So we kind of heard both sides, and we thought that Park Marina is a beautiful corridor to walk and ride bicycles. And if we can make a facility that is comfortable and safe for everyone to kind of appreciate that, that's the point we're trying to get to. If possible, and if everyone agrees, then we want to make it a multimodal corridor, not just for cars, but also for pedestrians and bicycles, that they can really enjoy this beautiful corridor. So that's where
the issue I have here is it's when you talk about bicycling down that corridor, you're not talking about on the river. You're talking about off the river. It's very difficult to see the river because of the buildings that are there today. If we had a bicycle trail on the river, I would 100% support that, because families would use that. But I don't believe that the plan you have today is going to meet that requirement.
That's a great point too. So we are actually currently talking to the developers to also have that option open and on the table, where we could have the bike trails right by the river. Again, there are different type of bike riders. Some riders who just want to get to point A and point B for their daily work, and there are some recreational bike riders too. So we are going to have both the options open. In the northern section, city does not have a right of way right now to put a bicycle facility right by the riverside. But on the southern section, where there is existing, we are trying to even join the two facilities. So to a certain point, they can ride on Park Marina, and then they can take the bike trail, which is already there. So we are weighing all those options too.
Bob, thank you for your comments.
I will make a last comment. Last comment is, when these properties are developed beyond what they are now, there is customarily negotiation between the city and the developer, and the developer should contribute or make concessions. And at that point in time, we could ask for or make a condition of the development that we get a right of way along the river.
And we are doing
I think that would be.
Yeah.
City is considering that as a condition of approval for their development.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And Zach, please add to it if I'm misspeaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah, thanks for that.
And
Bob, you're not alone. We heard very similar comments on Monday. And so this is something that other people are saying as well, both about concerns about removing lanes and also the idea that there should be a trail along the river. We've heard both those things. But thank you for those comments, and we'll circle back
thank you.
if we have time, okay? Now, I see somebody has their hand up named Mike. Is it the same Mike as before?
No, I'm a different Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
That's I came here or signed into this meeting originally more from the perspective of a cyclist, but I'd like to say, once I saw what the plans were, I gotta agree with Bob that throttling Park Marina Drive from 2 lanes of traffic in each direction to 1 lane of traffic in each direction seems like a recipe for a lot of headaches, or for drivers anyway. But at any rate, I just wanted to should,
So
you
you're
know,
supporting that comment.
supporting that comment, the general part of the comment.
Yeah.
But from a cyclist perspective, I guess I don't want to see some like what happened on out where I live off of Victor Avenue, where they put in roundabouts. And it used to be that it was just straight through with stops for the side traffic between Hartnell and Churn Creek. And then they put in the roundabouts, and now I got to get out in traffic to go down that street. And that is definitely a lot less safe than just having straight through with stop signs on the side traffic. It's quite frankly very scary, and I don't ride on Victor Avenue much anymore because of it.
Okay, so
I get it would be better than it is right now on Park Marina, because at least there would be a bike lane in between the roundabouts, but it would not be as good as just leaving Park Marina with stop signs on the side streets, or on the one side where there are side streets, and just through traffic for cyclists and cars, in my opinion.
Right, and I'm sure Ruta will
Yeah.
answer that, but let me just ask one thing, Mike. When in those existing roundabouts, you're saying that the bikes are forced to go actually in the lane in the roundabout rather than staying on the shoulder. Is that
Well,
right?
you can basically turn right on the roundabout and get into the crosswalk, which was one of the suggestions in the main portion of this discussion. But if you're doing that, drivers, you lose a lot of visibility to the drivers when you go from that bike lane over to the crosswalk and go through it. It's a little different than if you're walking and moving at a slow rate of speed than if you're on a bike and traveling at 10 to 20 miles per hour.
Okay, Ruta?
Bruce, could you pull up one of those slides? I just, first of all, want to make sure that I do understand his question correctly. Just any one of the middle sections. That should be good. Yes, if you can just, full screen it or.
Yeah, okay, let me full screen. Hold on.
At the bottom.
No, I got.
Yeah, right. The next one. One more. Yeah, that one. Yep. Okay. Thank you. So, Mike, and that's the reason, in the presentation, we did say that we're still looking into different alternatives for bikes to go around the roundabout. And at this point, you see the gray hatch on the north. If you take Village Drive north-south, then that's where we are trying to reroute the bikes to kind of maneuver through the roundabout at this point. But we will be definitely relooking into it.
Yeah, and Mike was saying that you lose visibility going on the shoulder around the roundabout. So I think there's ways to design that in a way that's safe. I think, Ruta, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think studies show that roundabouts are very much safer for pedestrians and bicyclists and cars themselves than signalized intersections. Isn't that what studies show?
If designed properly,
okay.
If designed properly, then they are, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's right. Maneuvering through roundabouts for bicyclists is a little bit more difficult with respect to sight distance. But if you have yields and yield signs and stop signs and other things that you can do at the roundabout, then that becomes much more safer with respect to the conflict points.
Then, okay.
The other question you had was, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I guess the desire is to increase the traffic flow from Olympus or Village Drive onto Park Marina versus the current situation where there's stop signs and they just have to wait till there's a break in traffic?
No, roundabout also helps you to calm the traffic. So it really helps you to slow down the traffic at the same time. So,
that too.
Yeah. So that's not the intention, that we want to have more cars go through that intersection. And that's the reason we are putting a roundabout there or proposing a roundabout there.
And it's interesting with roundabouts, it doesn't take necessarily more time. It just smooths out the So that
Right.
you aren't stopping at a signal and then speeding up and, going fast and then stopping again. It really does kind of temper the traffic down at a more reasonable rate. So that's
With
another
less
advantage.
delay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Less delay, less
I
congestion.
guess my final point though is, yeah, it's better than say a traffic or four-way stop, but from a safety point of view for cyclists, there's no way that that's safer than stop signs on the side streets where I don't have to
Yeah,
worry
I see.
about somebody hitting me.
Yeah, I see your
If they were a
point.
stop sign.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. In that condition, yes, it's an issue. Thank you for your comments. I think we should move on. We have a couple others. Katie, do you want to make a comment? Hi, Katie.
Thank you.
You are muted still. Can you
Am I
unmute?
good now?
Yeah, we can hear
Oh,
you.
no. I think Bruce is referring to Katie Cassidy.
Cassidy. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Sorry.
Hey there. I've been on several meetings with multiple Katies today. So
Oh, okay.
I also live on Washington Avenue, and just a couple observations. It feels like there have been a few situations that have not been accounted for. Just daily practicalities, weekly practicality like garbage pickup. Our streets are pretty narrow already. Many of us have cars parked on the streets, and there's already significant navigating that we do with our neighbors to make sure that all of our garbage cans can be set out, adequately spaced, not knocked over, although they frequently are rummaged through. But just making sure that there's the availability for the garbage and recycling and yard waste to come and get the bins on the regular. Additionally, the neighborhoods down here hasn't happened in the last year, but when there are events like the car show at the Civic Center or the Freedom Festival or what have you, parking is full all the way down to Kutra's Park. We've got people double parking in driveways or blocking cars in. So that's going to be a concern. And then additionally, this is a thoroughfare right now, the way Park Marina exists. And to Bob's point about not knowing what development would look like and who would be moving in, is it going to be service industry? Is it going to be recreation? We don't know why people would be traveling down Park Marina. Right now, it's basically used as a shortcut. And I can tell you, I drive Park Marina many times a day, and it's safe to say there isn't a single trip that I go out where I'm not passed by somebody driving 50 plus miles an hour.
No.
So I appreciate the nod to safety. I'm also, I appreciate the wanting to bring in walkability and bikeability. I think that is for as amazing as our location is, that's really like an area where we're underserved. But I feel like there's too many good ideas trying to happen at once, maybe. And so trying to prioritize what is our goal for right now and what is our vision for the future, maybe an interesting place to start. And then my final complaint at this point is that I only learned about this meeting about a week ago, and I live on Washington. Clearly the word got out here and there, but I guess I'm not connected in the right circles. So is there a way that we can make sure that everybody who lives and works in the area is informed and included in discussions going forward?
Yes, of course. Well, we would certainly encourage you to go on the website and sign up for future notifications of any events. And you can send an email to Shelby. Shelby's not in this room, she's in the other room. But just in terms of notification of the area, I understood there to be a mailing with postcards sent to residents in the area. I don't know exactly what the radius was of the mailing, but we can find out more about that and let everyone know how we did notify. But I'm glad you're at the meeting. So hopefully we'll get everyone involved who needs to be involved. Thank you. So Brian, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. So kind of my backstory, I own Headwaters Adventure Company, which is a business right here on Park Marina. Love the area, have been actually only down in the area since about May. But there again, would love to see any kind of future development in the area. I know it's kind of up in the air as far as what would happen. But looking at it the other way, rerouting people on Washington, giving traffic the incentive to turn back to Park Marina and not use the neighborhoods as their main thoroughfare, I think should be something to look at for sure. Just because, I mean, obviously we want people to use the river access and essentially reroute people back to the more commercial side of Park Marina compared to the neighborhood section of this whole corridor.
Brian, what, I assume you have some kind of river-oriented business. Do you rent
Yeah, so
canoes and
Headwaters
kayaks?
Adventure Company is kayak, paddleboard, canoe sales, rentals, tours, trips, all of the above. We do everything from retail sales through river trips. We try to take advantage of the river as much as we can. We do actually have a space next to Urban Retreat that we're hopefully going to start using as some kind of boathouse-ish area to do on-water rentals within the Kutrus area.
Oh, so currently you don't do on water?
We do.
But,
So it's just not to a point
Right.
where we're really marketing
I
that
see,
section of the business.
I see.
But it is in the works. Obviously, I would love to see more river access development, river walk kind of stuff within the area. But there again, there needs to be a concern for respect to the residences within the corridor. And obviously, if the whole Washington Avenue reroute does happen, obviously make it easy on the current residents in the area.
Good. Okay. Thank you for that. Just one more question for you. Sorry, I'm asking you more questions than you're asking me. What brought you to Park Marina? I'm curious. You probably had some other choices. What was it that really got you there?
So being close to the river obviously is a huge plus. I mean, we're a paddle sports shop, so being on the water or close to the water is key for what we do. And then one big thing that did bring me to this certain area was the future developments that the current landlords or landowners have talked about. Obviously, I've been in talks with the current landowner about how to develop stuff to hopefully ease the access of kayaks and paddle boards and canoes and just that whole industry.
Great. Thank you for that. And I would encourage everyone on the call to patronize Brian's business. So go down and see if you can get an adventure going, right? Thank you for showing up tonight, Brian. I appreciate it.
And
maybe
I just want to add one thing, that these are just two options or alternatives we are looking at. None of them are set in stone, but we just wanted to vet out, how does everyone, take this, and what are their comments on these options, so that we know which option to really go further with. Also, I think everyone has a mindset that Washington Avenue is going to stay the same cross section as existing, and we are going to try and fit everything in the existing cross section. That probably is a misconception. If we are going to put bike lanes going through that, or add anything to it, then the cross section is going to get wider. So just wanted to let you know that it's
and just to clarify, Ruta, the section that she's talking about, it would get wider only in this part that goes from Park Marina over to South, and it would not continue into the neighborhood. That it would not change width in the neighborhood. But it could change width in this area here. It probably should, right?
Yes, so like this. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Ruta. Okay, Katie now. Hi.
Sorry, hold on one second. Okay.
Oh, bad timing? What? No.
So pretty much, I kind of agree. I just want it to be noted, I've grown up in this neighborhood. I've lived here 26, 24 years of my 30 years of life. And I've seen this neighborhood get busier and busier with people racing through, trying to avoid the traffic on Park Marina. And taking it, I remember when it was one lane each direction, and then it widening because it was too busy. how does that make sense now to lower it back, to condense it back to one lane each way when there's more population in Reading, more cars? That doesn't make sense. And it's
Katie, I'm sorry, can I just clarify? Did you say that people are racing on Washington or on the?
I live on Athens, and
On Athens.
and Washington, and my parents live on a corner of Washington, and there's cars that will fly through there and they'll lose their fenders and bumpers from the speed bump or from the dips. We have people drag racing, I mean, and people just hauling through
Okay.
here.
And you're not talking about on Park Marina, you're talking about on residential streets.
It's in the residential area. It's my mom, she'll go out there and she'll yell at them, slow down. I mean, people driving through our neighborhood at 35 miles an hour. And I just am so concerned for the kids in this neighborhood, mine included, that it's going to get so much worse. And then with the Washington, my uncle lives on that section of Washington that you're wanting to reroute traffic. And with everything you are wanting to do, and my uncle was at the meeting on Monday, and he voiced his concern too. These people who live there, they're never going to be able to back out of their driveways. It's going to be like South Street. It's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thank you for that. Could you just tell us the street that you live on, Katie?
Yeah. I live on Athens.
You live on Athens. Okay, you said that before. Thank you.
I live, the area I live in is where that big rock island is.
Uh-huh.
I'm in
Okay.
that area.
Okay, great. Thank you for your input. And I do remember meeting your uncle on Monday.
Yeah,
So,
the twins. They're the twins.
yeah, tell him hi. You know, we appreciated his comments. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see.
Hey, Bruce, we just have 3 minutes.
3 minutes to go. So I think this
Yeah.
might be the last one. Let's see. Einar,
Yeah, I'm going to make it quick.
Okay.
I'll make it very quick. My name's Einar Diaz with Diaz Associates. I've been living in Reading for 40 years, and I'm a practicing planner working part of the Kuchers project team. Just want to let everybody know that we are in the process of refining what's being proposed as the Washington Avenue bypass. We've engaged a traffic engineer, and we're looking at other options besides what has been presented, a signal and a roundabout at the particular location of South and Washington. So stay tuned. We are working with the city very cooperatively, and so we have some exciting ideas that we'll be proposing. So just wanted to share that information with you.
Do you,
And if anybody wants to get a hold of us, please do so.
well, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Sure, they can get a hold of me by calling area code 530-949-9810. Email is ediaz@diazplanning.com. And if again, we have a project team that's working on this, and responses, which includes Chris Kutras. So responses to you will be from the horse's mouth.
Mr. Diaz, one last question for you. What do you think your timing is going to be on coming out to the community with some ideas?
That's all dependent on the time that our engineer has, and taking a look at the various options, but we'll be keeping in contact with Shelby and distributing information through her.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Let's see. Thank you for coming. And it's exciting to hear about new ideas. I think we're going to close up in 1 minute, but we're not quite there yet. Does anybody want to say anything else? Any other comments?
Oh,
Let
yeah,
me stop.
I do. Katie does.
Katie, go ahead.
I just forgot to say too, I do it. The development is intriguing, and I do hope it happens, but I just wish there was a way where Park Marina wasn't closed. Because I think if Park Marina doesn't close that section, that would take care of some of those traffic concerns. That's it.
Okay. this is an opportunity for last thoughts. Or I don't know, Ruta, if you want to add anything. Time is up.
Oh, time is up.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the big group. So we'll see you all there. We'll give maybe a couple more minutes for people to stroll into the big room. Pranjali, do we have the other room closed as well? I know many people
Yes.
from my room. Oh yeah, I see people that
Yes.
weren't in my room, so.
Yes, it's closed, both of them.
Okay.
Hello again, everyone.
Hello. That was a great, fast-moving conversation, and we got lots of comments. Cliff and Rudy, do you want to give any like high-level, recap of comments that people made in your room?
Yeah, I can start. Rudy and Shelby, if you want to jump in.
Just a couple, you don't have to go through every comment, but
Sure.
what's the flavor?
Actually, it was most of our discussion hovered around or focused on the option B, where looking at the diversion onto Washington Avenue, and basically a lot of discussion around potential traffic impacts on the neighborhood, how that would affect travel routes along South Street, and if there's additional like traffic calming or other measures that will be needed in order to ensure that drivers going onto Washington, like how to manage possible spillover traffic from Washington into the neighborhood. So there was a lot of good discussion there, and trying to, just basically make sure that the residents and those in the area would be consulted if that option is being considered. So, and then there was also general comments, discussion about like certain treatments for improving bicycle facilities around the traffic circles at Olympus and Village. So, and then also some other traffic treatments at the other intersections. I think there were some other.
That was good. Maybe Rudy, do you have anything else you would add?
Yeah, they were wondering about how we're going to do the bike lane crossing at Village, because there is that apartment community. So we want to make sure the bikes can safely and the peds can safely cross through that area. Also about the protected bike intersection at Athens, how we would transition the bikes from the west side of the street to the east side. Would we consider an elevated crossing with some RFBs, or how would we design that? So some good questions there. There was some concern about the boat ramp with the diversion, because there's that boat ramp on Park Marina between South and Washington. So folks were wondering if there'd be any negative impacts to accessibility if we consider the diversion from South to Washington to Park Marina. Yeah, so those are some of the high level items.
Thank you for that. In a way, it sounds like I was in your meeting
Exactly.
because, yeah, Ruta, right? I mean,
Yeah.
almost everything you said, except with a couple exceptions, were really highlights of our meeting as well.
Yeah. We could basically echo what you both said.
Yeah, in alarming consistency too. We did have maybe a couple other comments. There was a comment about how the overpass would work and the best way to lead it from Park Marina and over the 44. So there was some conversation about that. one interesting, we did have a business owner in our group that was interesting. That's Headwaters Adventure and is a, you know, river kind of oriented business. So that was good to get that perspective. But really it was a neighborhood perspective that we had in our group, and concern about cut through traffic a lot, and also concern about impacts of routing Park Marina onto Washington and South.
Yep.
Ruta, did you want to add anything to that list?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. I think there was just one comment that was regarding cut through traffic on Athens. So yeah, just to add to the other cut through comments that we have received on other residential corridors.
Yeah,
But-
and in particular regarding speeding on Athens.
Speeding,
It sounds
yeah.
pretty extreme, actually. So
Yeah. And then
Athens
speeding-
needs some attention, whatever happens here on Park Marina. I would just also mention that we did have a planner from the Kuchers project team in our breakout room. That's Einhard Diaz of Diaz Planning, and he says that they are listening to the community, and they're doing work that they will bring to the city. So there will be so Shelby will be notifying the community. Shelby, I'm putting you on the spot, but that at some point when that is ready to go public, then it will be made public. I should also mention that somebody asked about notification and said that they, even though they live close to Park Marina, they were not notified in the original round of meetings, and so only recently heard about this meeting. So Shelby, I don't know if you can recall what the notification was for the first round and also for this round. Could you just let us know?
Yeah, we had, so the first time around, we sent out a flyer, and it should have been sent to the homes within that that red study area. So if you weren't within that red study area, you might not have received a flyer in the first go around. But we did put it on Facebook and then also our website. We did try to do a better job this time around with the virtual outreach. So we did post it on our Facebook page. We have it on our website. I think our mailing list this time around was a little bit fuller, just because we had gotten the word out. I see Katie Nell is in the red study area. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know, maybe you can email me and then maybe with your address, and I can make sure in the future any mailings I want you to be included.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
awesome.
we're continuing to build the mailing list. So if you email Shelby at snadin at city of, wait a minute, tell me the address, Shelby, you better do it.
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Okay, that's the best way. cityofreading.org. Thank you. So thank you all for all your comments and questions. And it was a lively discussion. And so I thought I learned a lot. I hope you guys all learned a lot too. Next steps are going to be to review this material, work with staff. We will be talking to stakeholders, which means property owners and others in the area. And there will be more work done on the draft corridor plan, and then it will be released later in the fall. So that's our next steps. And I'll open it up for Shelby, if you have any last words for this meeting.
I'd just like to say, I guess, thank you, first of all, just because, we were going through a phase of inactivity with the COVID-19 situation, and we've been trying to get the ball rolling on this again. And it's been a while since our first outreach. So, we appreciate everyone's patience, and it means a lot to me personally that you all have kind of carved out time to attend this meeting and give your thoughts and input, because it's super helpful for us when we're going through the design process for this project. And I would just add that if anyone, wants to talk to me more about it or wants to share any input or ideas or concerns, just shoot me an email and let me know.
Okay. Thank you all. So I think on behalf of the entire team, very much thanks to all of you for attending and giving your time this evening.
Real quick, sorry,
Sure.
I saw a question from Janessa. She was asking what are the next steps, another meeting. So right now, as what the city's process is going to be, we're going to have some more internal staff meetings. We'll have more meetings with the stakeholders. And then depending on how those go, we may need to do another meeting. It depends on, I guess, the alternatives. And then we'll have to talk to the consultant from there a bit. We may determine that we do need to do some more outreach. But if we do, we will keep everyone posted.
Thank you for that, Shelby. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all for your attendance and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks, everyone.
you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.